Shocked. That's the first thing that came to mind when I imagined farmers working and plowing gigantic fields with these machines. Each of these mechanical marvels brought a particular innovation that forever changed the face of agriculture. Let's discover our top 10 and what made these American tractors truly exceptional. Number 10. The Caterpillar 60. One glance at the Caterpillar 60 is enough to immediately feel its legendary toughness. Launched in 1925 by the brand new Caterpillar Tractor Company, born from the merger of Holt and Best, this steel monster revolutionized the use of continuous tracks to improve traction on difficult or soft terrain. Although tracked tractors weren't entirely new, Caterpillar perfected their design, forging a reputation for unstoppable pulling power. Powered by a 4-cylinder gasoline engine developing about 60 horsepower, hence its name. The Caterpillar 60 was a true workhorse, often weighing more than 20,000 pounds in some configurations. Where wheeled tractors got stuck or lost their grip, the long tracks of the 60 perfectly distributed its weight, allowing it to pull equipment through muddy fields and rough terrain. This feature made it particularly popular in road construction, logging, and large-scale agriculture, especially in the American West. The iconic design of the 60 featured a huge radiator at the front and a low driver's seat behind the hood. Mechanically, it was relatively simple, but built to withstand extreme stress. Farmers quickly discovered it could replace entire teams of mules or several smaller tractors. By combining raw power and track technology, Caterpillar ushered in a new era of heavy equipment for agriculture. Seeing a Caterpillar 60 crawl across farmland in the 1920s was a sight that demonstrated how deeply technology could transform the agricultural world. Number 9. The CL Track Model F. Long before continuous tracks became the standard for heavy equipment, the Cleveland Tractor Company, often abbreviated as CL Track, introduced the Model F to demonstrate the incredible value of this technology. Making its debut in 1917, the CL Track Model F was equipped with a 4-cylinder engine and a pair of robust tracks that allowed it to move over the most difficult terrain with disconcerting ease. Compared to the imposing steam machines of the time, it was relatively compact, but its mobility in mud or on soft ground appealed to farmers looking for maximum traction. The CL Track Model F excelled at pulling plows and heavy farm equipment without getting stuck. Although maintaining these steel tracks required faithful lubrication and occasional tension adjustments, many owners felt its reliability was well worth this extra effort. Mechanically, its design was remarkably simple. A solid chassis, a reliable engine, and a track system that evenly distributed its weight on the ground. Over the years, CL Track's early foray into tracked vehicles not only influenced farm equipment, but also paved the way for future developments in military and construction machinery. Number 8. The Allis-Chalmers Model G. Designed specifically for market gardeners and specialty crop producers, the Allis-Chalmers Model G literally revolutionized tractor design by completely turning it around. With its Continental 4-cylinder engine mounted behind the driver, it offered a clear, unobstructed view of the ground directly ahead, perfect for vegetable cultivation or other similar intensive crops. Rather than looking over an imposing engine hood, operators could directly observe the tool in action, in real time. The Model G's lightweight chassis and small wheels were ideal for tasks requiring finesse and precision. It produced about 10 horsepower at the drawbar, modest power but sufficient for specialized planting, cultivation, and gardening work. The true innovation lay in its unique layout, tools attached under the belly of the tractor, making them easy to monitor and adjust while working. This was a boon for anyone needing surgical precision, such as in row spacing or in tight vegetable beds. However, its relatively restricted use case limited its widespread adoption, especially when more versatile larger tractors became more affordable. Nevertheless, the Model G built a loyal following among small-scale farmers who appreciated its efficient design. Even today, some small operators and organic farmers seek out restored units for their unmatched precision in specialized crop work. Whether you love it for its practicality or simply admire its unconventional form, the Model G remains a lasting reminder of Allis-Chalmers' willingness to break traditional molds to create solutions better suited to farmers' specific needs. This tractor inspired a new generation of designers to rethink the relationship between the operator, the machine, and the crop they maintain. Number 7. The Big Bud 747. When talking about big tractors, and then there's the Big Bud 747, a category all its own. Built in 1977 by Northern Manufacturing in Havre, Montana, it is widely considered the largest agricultural tractor in the world. weighing over 100,000 pounds fully loaded and stretching nearly 28 feet long. This colossal four-wheel drive machine was initially custom ordered for deep plowing on a California cotton farm. Over the decades, it has become a true icon of American agricultural power. At its heart beats a gigantic Detroit diesel 16x92T engine capable of developing more than 760 horsepower under optimal conditions. The Big Bud can pull huge cultivators up to 80 feet wide, allowing it to cover entire acres in just minutes. Looking at photos or standing next to it at a tractor show can leave you speechless. Images alone fail to capture its dizzying immensity. Over the years, it has been used on various large farms, usually in the northern Great Plains, where immense fields justify the use of such power. But despite its imposing size, the Big Bud 747 is surprisingly simple in design. The mechanical components are simply large-scale versions of standard tractor parts, making it easier to maintain than one might think. Its owners often mention that apart from its enormous proportions, the 747 is not complicated to use on a daily basis. Even so, you'll need vast terrain and a well-padded wallet to justify this workhorse. It endures as a testament to American ingenuity, proving that if you can imagine it, someone, somewhere, can build it. Even today, the Big Bud 747 draws crowds at agricultural shows, reminding everyone that sometimes bigger is better. At least when it comes to rapidly transforming thousands of acres of arable land. Number 6. The Fordson Snow Motor. Among the strangest tractor versions you might see rolling, or rather sliding, across a snowy field, the Fordson Snow Motor holds a special place. In the early 20th century, Fordson tractors were already a major success, but tackling winter terrain remained a considerable challenge. That's when the Snow Motor Conversion Kit appeared, developed by Armstead Snow Motors. A pair of helical drums similar to augers replaced the rear wheels, while the front axle was equipped with either skis or additional smaller augers. The concept worked similarly to modern snow grooming machines. The large cylindrical screws gripped snow and ice as they turned, propelling the tractor forward in conditions where ordinary wheels would simply spin without advancing. On paper, it was brilliant. Northern farmers or loggers hauling loads through snow-covered forests immediately saw the potential. Promotional films of the era show these conversions gliding over frozen terrain as if nothing was amiss, accomplishing the impossible with disconcerting ease. However, the system was expensive, bulky, and particularly tedious to install. Its specialized design meant it wasn't practical for year-round use, so relatively few units were sold. When better rubber tracks and half-track conversions appeared, the Fordson Snow Motor fell into obscurity. Today, it's a fascinating relic, an integral part of that bold wave of experimentation, attempting to solve winter mobility problems before modern tracks became commonplace. If you're lucky enough to see images of a snow motor in motion, the spectacle is simply mesmerizing. Its large rotating screws devouring snow to propel the tractor where no conventional vehicle could venture. Number 5. The Emerson Brantingham Big 4. Initially designed by the Gas Traction Company, the Big 4 tractor was acquired by Emerson Brantingham, which continued to produce these giants into the 1910s. The nickname Big 4 referred to its four-cylinder engine, which provided formidable power for the time, over 60 horsepower at the drawbar in some versions. Sporting huge steel wheels and a heavy chassis with high ground clearance, it quickly forged a reputation as a brute force machine. Weighing nearly 20,000 pounds in some configurations, the Big 4 eclipsed many of its gasoline competitors of the time. The goal was clear: tackle the immense wheat fields of the Great Plains and handle difficult tasks like clearing prairies or pulling multi-bottom plows. Using a Big 4 was no small feat. Managing the startup of the huge flywheel, plus regular lubrication points scattered around the chassis, made it a job reserved for operators with good mechanical knowledge. Yet the imposing mass of the Big 4 wasn't just for show. It provided the traction needed to pull heavier equipment and handle difficult terrain. This tractor became somewhat legendary in communities accustomed to less powerful offerings. Although more refined and smaller designs eventually took center stage, the Big 4 remains an unforgettable and imposing chapter in tractor history. It testifies to early manufacturers' willingness to build ever bigger and stronger in their quest to dethrone steam power and conquer America's vast agricultural lands. Imagine the impressive spectacle of a Big 4 working at full power, its enormous flywheel turning as it transformed virgin prairies into productive farmland. Number 4. The John Deere Spoker D. The John Deere Model D is legendary in its own right, having launched the brand's iconic two-cylinder tractor series. Yet the early version, familiarly called the Spoker D, possesses a particular charm. Built between 1923 and 1925, these tractors sported an open-spoke flywheel, reminiscent of a gigantic wagon wheel turning next to the operator's seat. This design aimed partly to reduce the flywheel's weight and maintain easy access for manual starting, but it also gave the tractor a decidedly vintage look. Powered by a horizontal two-cylinder engine, often nicknamed the Johnny Popper due to its characteristic exhaust sound, the Spoker D was robust and relatively simple. It delivered about 15 horsepower at the drawbar, sufficient for many tasks on small and medium farms. However, the open-spoke flywheel could accumulate mud or debris if the fields were particularly muddy, and it required extra caution since it was essentially a large piece of metal rotating in the open air. John Deere quickly replaced the spoke design with a solid flywheel for safety and durability reasons, making the Spoker D relatively rare. Collectors prize them for their historical importance and for the nostalgia factor of seeing that iconic spoke flywheel turning in the fields. Even if you've never had the chance to grab that spoke flywheel to start the engine on a chilly morning, hearing that distinct pop, pop, pop at idle is a quick reminder of how far tractor engineering has come. Farmers who use the Spoker D often speak affectionately of its reliability and mechanical simplicity, qualities that helped cement John Deere's reputation for decades to come. Number 3, the JI Case 150 HP. In an era when tractors were still a novelty, the JI Case threshing machine was something that looked more like a locomotive than any farm vehicle we would recognize today. This mechanical behemoth, often simply called the Case 150, was a steam traction engine boasting an impressive 150 horsepower, which was huge for the early 1900s. Only a handful of units were ever built, making it something of a legend among vintage machinery enthusiasts. Measuring about 25 feet long and weighing more than 14 tons, it could command respect in any field it entered. The boiler system, fueled by wood or coal, propelled huge drive wheels capable of pulling massive threshes across farmland. If a steam traction engine may seem cumbersome, in its day, it was cutting-edge technology that was absolutely revolutionary. A single operator controlled boiler pressure, water levels, and engine speed, carefully balancing power to ensure everything ran perfectly. Although its maintenance was intensive, imagine having to constantly shovel fuel and monitor steam gauges. There was something undeniably majestic about seeing it advance slowly but surely. It reflected America's transition from horsepower to the mechanical era. Even if you've never had the chance to see one operating, knowing it was the largest steam tractor ever built by Case offers a special thrill to any enthusiast looking back at the golden age of steam. Its imposing size and raw power set new standards for what a tractor could accomplish, paving the way for generations of ever more powerful farm machinery. Number 2, the Moline Universal D. If you're looking for a tractor that almost defies description, the Moline Universal D is a top candidate. Introduced around 1917 by the Moline Plow Company, it resembled not so much traditional farm equipment as a motorized chassis with seats and steering mounted far behind the power unit. The idea was to offer a versatile machine that could handle various attachments while maintaining constant traction and balance. At first glance, you would see a large unique chassis connecting the front assembly to a two-wheeled tractor part, with the operator perched behind on another axle. This design aimed to reduce the turning radius and allow easy changing of tools like mowers, seeders, or cultivators. It was also presented as an all-in-one solution for small and medium farms. However, in practice, some farmers found the positioning somewhat awkward. Maneuvering it required a certain know-how, and the high steel wheels didn't always offer the smoothest ride. Yet the Moline Universal D was also praised for its forward-thinking engineering. Farmers could attach multiple tools without completely reconfiguring the machine. A considerable time saver in an era when most tasks were done by hand or with mules. Unfortunately, its mechanical complexity and competition from simpler designs led to its decline by the mid-1920s. Nevertheless, for those who appreciate unusual solutions and creativity in design, the Moline Universal D retains a precious place in the annals of American tractor history. Its innovative approach to modularity anticipated many modern trends in farm equipment, proving that sometimes the boldest ideas are simply ahead of their time. Number 1. The Roomley Oil Pull. Introduced in 1909 by the Advanced Roomley Company, the Roomley Oil Pull brought an entirely different approach to motor power. While many tractors of the era ran on gasoline or were still steam-powered, This machine earned its name thanks to a distinctive kerosene-based system known as oil pull technology. At its heart was a heavy, low-speed engine that used a unique cooling technique involving oil in the crankcase, allowing it to tolerate lower-quality fuels. Seeing one in action was witnessing a steam-era design equipped for a new generation of liquid fuel engines. Like many machines from the early 1900s, the oil pull was bulky, with imposing steel wheels sometimes equipped with cleats to improve traction on soft soils. Its enormous flywheel and cast-iron construction gave it an industrial, almost intimidating presence, as if it had been torn from a factory floor and sent directly to the fields. Owners appreciated the oil pull's simple design and robust construction. The continuous load nature of its large engine allowed farmers to harness significant pulling power for tasks like plowing, threshing, and hauling. Despite the engine's old-fashioned appearance, the kerosene system often offered a more economical solution, particularly in regions where gasoline was more expensive. Over time, competition and technological evolution surpassed the novelty of the oil pull, but it remains an iconic piece of tractor history, symbolizing the transitional phase between steam and modern internal combustion. Its distinctive silhouette and low-frequency engine roar evoke an era when raw power and mechanical simplicity were the cornerstones of agricultural innovation. These 10 extraordinary tractors perfectly illustrate the creative and determined spirit that shaped American agriculture in the 20th century. Don't miss our next journey through America's mechanical past.